Hi everyone, how are you? This is Bethany Gagne, founder of Numinous, the organization that sponsors the Resonant Peaceful Cities project. This is, I believe, the 6th video of my Consciousness Athlete series, teaching people about the fundamentals of consciousness and how to apply them in everyday life. Like, consciousness isn't this big, vague thing. You can actually play with it all the time. It's who you are, and so that's what this series is designed to do. So I have 3 goals in this video. 1 is to tell you a little bit about the delay and why it took me a while, and then 2, how that's inspiring this video about all of us starting to cultivate a relationship to light. We'll talk about that. I don't know how people can go through such horrible illnesses such as cancer or heart disease or whatever it is you're facing and to not have some of this knowledge. I just don't know how people would do it. So I want to share this with you today. And then the third thing is actually that sets up the whole idea that I'd like to reinstate this Legion of Light, which many of you know I started last year, and just due to some budget constraints and things like that, it was stopped for a little bit, but we're going to talk about that. So first of all, yes, I spent a week. Part of the reason why this is delayed is because I was actually working at the Monroe Institute. I strongly recommend you visit monroeinstitute.org. And I was doing the Discovery Program. And in the Discovery Program, I work as an EEG practitioner. And so basically I basically have an EEG, and then I have 4 leads from it that can go to 4 people around a table. This time I worked with 3. And for a week, I get to go deep with people into their consciousness and to explore and discover their relationship to the infinite. Monroe Institute takes all of this to a whole new level, and it's just absolutely a privilege and an honor for me to be a part of that. Also, I work with Judith Pennington, who's the world's authority on this type of research, and I'll be working with her in May to do the Super Consciousness series. So I recommend, if you're interested in these kind of things, go to monroeinstitute.org and sign up for that. There's very limited seating, obviously, because of the equipment involved. Okay, then what happened was when I came back, basically I had kind of a repeated exposure, long story, after that, not at Monroe. And so basically I was sick again for a few days. And as I was working deep in my nervous system, and as I was doing this thing, and I also have friends of mine who are suffering from cancer right now. I have I know people around me that are quite sick. And I'll often say to people, do they have an internal skill set? Like, how can you, I don't even know what it would be like to be facing cancer or anything like that without having this internal awareness of how to move into our nervous system, hack it, and especially cleanse our energy field and move it forward. I, basically came into this work in my 20s because I had an illness that basically caused a complete change. All my joints kind of stopped working. I was a musician, and when you're a musician, you need your joints to work, in the way you expect to work them. And around the age of 21, my joints started pulling apart. And it just caused this whole series of events that actually is why I stand here now to do this work. And that's not the only illness I've kind of worked myself back from. I had another one. I basically have had these different periods of life where I have had to go deep within and to really just say, where am I going to, where am I going to land? Where am I going to land on this? And I don't know about you, but I always say second best is never enough. And I can always feel my energy field. So I can go into my energy field and feel how it's been damaged, it's contracted, something's wrong with it. And then I go to work. Right? And I will tell you, it can take a while, but why would you settle for anything less, right? So, for instance, I always say, it takes so quick for the body to injure and then so long for it to heal. So, but my attitude is, why would I go in any other direction? Why would I just surrender my body and go, that's it, I'm getting older, or that's it, these are my joints, this is the way it is, that's it, I've got mycotoxins traveling through my system, another illness, that's it, I'm done, let me just take medicine for the rest of my life, and after all, I just got this one old body that doesn't, and I just because of my awareness of my energy field, it's the only reason for that I have never been willing to settle, okay, and I'm gonna encourage you as well, because when you start to, and I've always taught consciousness in a way that you go figure, I teach you how to fish and you go fish, don't trust anybody else's word, like a medical intuitive or whatever. You go into your own system and you figure out where you're off, okay? So, all right, so today, that being said, I know there are so many people struggling with cancer and things like that right now. And I'm going to give you a meditation today that I call it God bathing. And it is one of the things that I always do. I mean, in fact, in this last time that I was down, I God bathed. I will tell you, one time I had COVID, and it was basically, you know, I could feel, there was a moment in the middle of the night where I could feel how my lungs were actually starting to, I almost felt like is that an iron lung or whatever? Like this encapsulated hardness around my lungs. And I was like, oh no, this is when people get intubated. Like, we're not going there. And I spent the whole night God bathing. And I'm going to tell you what that means in a minute. But the whole night, it basically, imagine that there's a sun and it was shining on my chest all night long. Like, and I'm disciplined in meditation, so I'm able to hold my mind still. So I would just hold my awareness in the light, as I've been doing, like actually to pop myself back from this illness too. And so basically I hold my awareness in light, and you can feel it. It's almost like a true sunshine, that like sunshine kind of shining onto the chest, and I could feel things breaking up in the chest. And I woke up in the morning and I was definitely not in the place that I was in the night before. Now, again, was it immediate? No. But every day I chipped away at it. And instead of me going further in the direction of intubation and, you know, hospitalization and all of that, I turned it around by taking charge of it at that point. So you see, that's kind of the theme, is the fact that we think, oh, my blood pressure's up. Oh, you know, I got to take medication, blah, blah, blah. No, like, you are this maestro of this nervous system. And like, no one's taught us to take the baton and start, you know, moving things around, right? Like, you don't have to surrender. Is it, will it take a while? Is it not straightforward? Absolutely. But again, when you go into your nervous system, it's almost like you can't deny it. You go, oh, it's right there. Like, the problem's right there, right? And then you go, oh, let me go to work right there, okay? So God bathing, okay, it's this idea of working with light. And most all the religions talk about light. And I happen to know more of the Christian orientation, but, you know, there's verses in the Bible all over. The glory of God is light. You are the light of the world. They've shown that we put off these biophotons, that we are light, right? And so this idea of light is not anything new, and it's part of who we are, and yet no one's taught us how to engage with it. So in this video, I'm going to encourage you to start cultivating this relationship with light. Okay, you could think of it as the infinite love, or love and light, or they often go together, love and light, right? And so, so I'm going to encourage you to practice starting to realize that light is your best friend. It will cleanse your field. It will open your heart. It will turn horrible conversations on its head through grace. It will nurture you and nourish you when you feel like you need it the most, right? So, and when you start working with light and you start cultivating this relationship with it, it becomes palpable. In fact, the very first time I ever kind of really got clued off to this is back in my 20s. I was sitting with some advanced sitters in a meditation thing, and the person leading the meditation was like, okay, there's a pillar, you know, imagine a pillar of light. And then we were in a circle. And so she said, imagine a pillar of light in the middle of the room. And I'm literally on my chair, and I don't know anything. I'm young. I don't know much at that time. And I just imagined this pillar of light in the center. And I literally just felt, as the light came across, I literally was like pushed back in my chair, right? That was my introduction to light, that like light is palpable and light is powerful. And that's why in the meditations, we always encourage people to use light. All right, so God bathing. Please send this to anybody suffering from cancer. Please send it to anybody who is struggling with you know, I don't even know how people do it. You know, like, for instance, years ago, I was actually in the hospital, and I experienced that for what's that like for 5 days. And I understand what happens at like 3 a.m. in hospitals and things like that. And so again, I was fortunate. I had all these internal skills, but I will never forget like that time and what it taught me about what happens to people's minds in illness. It was happening a little bit to me, but I had skills. But what happens when people get sick, and I've taught my daughters this, to be aware of this or whatever, if they have a fever, is somehow their minds kind of turn against them. Right? And deep down, many times people will feel as though an illness is actually like a guilt. And so this idea of being able to kind of, in the middle of the night, to be able to always God bathe, to be able to have light shine in your darkest places. Because somehow when we're sick, it's almost like things will come up and things will seem a lot bigger and gloomier than they actually are, right? So I remember saying to my daughter one time when she had a high fever, listen, honey, listen, just know that if you're feeling any kind of negative feelings come up or whatever, just light them, cleanse them, and let them go. Like, just don't get involved in them, don't whatever. And maybe that's what healing is, right? Because it seems like when I come through an illness, that I come through better, stronger, and with more clarity than before I had it, right? Because I'm doing all this deep internal work, right? I'm moving things, I'm moving some energy blockages out of my body, and I'm reclaiming the space, going, this is not appropriate. This is not appropriate here. This is not going to land here, right? So, okay. That being said, I've been able to hack myself out of everything, so it's been, and I learned so much, and that's where I get these videos, is because I've been in the trenches. I've been down in my cell tissue, engaging with light and consciousness and love and gorgeousness, and it is the journey that's literally underneath our nose, but people don't think there's any value to it, and yet it offers the best resilience we can possibly have. It's a well of nourishing water. And we just don't, that's why I do these things. I want people to know what they have within, especially when so many people are suffering from serious illness. Okay, that being said, that's the second thing, God bathing. You basically imagine a light and come in and just receive. It is relatively common for me, actually, to wake up in the middle of the night with light in the room and things like that. Often during some of the most challenging times I've had in my life, is light will appear, and it's nourishing, and I can feel the nourishing love of it. So I'm going to encourage you to develop your relationship with light, because it's always there, and it will strengthen you when you need it most. Okay? Now, third thing, I don't know if you noticed, it looks like we're on the brink of another, all craziness happening. Have you noticed? Anyway, so I'm going to work to see how I can get the Legion of Light started again. I have been the primary philanthropist for this work for the last 14 years or so. Well, actually, since I incorporated it 21 years ago, but with the research. And so I've kind of been unable to finance it the way I have in the past, which is why we're having some stops and starts. But considering what's happening in the world right now, I am feeling as though I'm going to give it a whirl. I'm not making any promises, but I'm actually going to be working behind the scenes, so won't be doing some of these videos for a while. Working behind the scenes to get the Legion of Light started. I need meditations. See, I can't do this alone. I mean, I could if I wanted to be one of those people that made it all about me, but the gorgeousness of this work is that I'm willing to work to put other people up. I want to do this with other people, okay? Because that's the power of this work. This work only works when each one of us take responsibility. And if I have other people step up and take responsibility for their corner of the globe, their light, right? Then that inspires somebody else to take responsibility, and somebody else to take responsibility, as opposed to a sage from the stage, as opposed to all of us just saying, Limby Taker's got this, we don't need to do anything, right? Joe Dispenza's got this, Limby Taker's got this, we don't need to do anything. No, that's not the nature of who we are. That's not what we're being asked to do. So I'm going to also send out in this video the Legion of Light protocol. I'm going to encourage you to look at the 20-minute protocol. Feel free to just pull out your phone if you're a meditation leader, follow the protocol. Please follow the timestamps, because people expect it to be 20 minutes long and to have an effect at the end. And then send me some meditations. I'll put some music behind it. If I need to revise it, I'll have to ask you, but I try not to ever ask people to revise their meditation. But anyways, please share this with as many people as possible, especially someone who's suffering from an illness. I don't know how, I live with light all the time, and I know it has my back, and I know that there's always an alchemy, and there's always a greater mystery that it reveals. So in today's day and age, where so many of us are walking around with a pit in our stomach, knowing what's happening in the news, this is the best thing that you could do for yourself or for others, is for us to gather together and bathe this planet in light. Play with light, get to know it, and then you'll know why why I've been championing this, and I'd encourage anyone to step forward to help a little bit. Donations desperately needed, but I'm gonna see. Let's see how this rolls. All right, I can't do it alone. All right, thank you so much. Take care. Bye bye.